The player empowerment era is getting out of control. Jonathan Kuminga legitimately thinks that he's a superstar in the NBA, which is absolutely insane. Apparently, he's refusing to sign the Warriors' 2-year, $45 million contract offer, which is pretty crazy. He also just entered the Hall of Fame cornball conversation with his new Instagram story, talking about some "I'll bet on myself all day" and then tagging his agent, knowing damn well that Steve Kerr's not going to play him at all next season. And clearly he's not reading the room. If he was really as good as he thinks he is, teams would be calling him with crazy trade offers, but they're not. I don't think a young player with a huge ego and someone that wants the ball in their hands 24/7 is all that appealing to most NBA GMs. And sure, when Kuminga does get a lot of minutes, he puts up big stats, but he doesn't contribute to winning. In the 40 games where he's played 30 or more minutes for the Warriors, they're 20-20. And as someone that watches a ton of Warriors games, for every good play that Jonathan Kuminga makes, he probably makes 3 mistakes in the process. If you made it this far in the video, it probably means that you like NBA content, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm really trying to grow this page and create a community of people that love basketball. Thanks. Anyways, the amount of forced mid-ranges that this guy takes and unforced turnovers that he passes is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree with him that at times Steve Kerr didn't play him as much as he should have, but he's under the impression that just because he puts up big numbers when he does play, that he contributes to winning, which is just simply not true. For reference, since Kuminga joined the team, the Warriors are 41-29 in games that he doesn't play, showing that he doesn't really matter that much. It's just insane to me that a guy that just had his career low in field goal percentage thinks that he's worth $30 million per season. Imagine if for the past year at your job you'd been performing worse and then expected a raise. That wouldn't make any sense. In fact, if your coworkers saw you doing that, they'd probably get pissed off. So imagine how Steph Curry feels. Fred Katz from The Athletic went around the league and asked executives what they think Kuminga's value is. And you know what they said? $20 million. Kuminga thinks he's worth $10 million more per season than NBA executives think he's worth. Do you see the problem here? And going back to the whole "I'll bet on myself" thing that he posted on his story, if he signs with the Warriors, worst case scenario, and sticks out the season, maybe doesn't get any minutes, next offseason, no one's going to pay him either. The only team that's going to have any salary cap next offseason is the Brooklyn Nets, and they're dealing with their own situation with Cam Thomas. So at the end of the day, Kuminga has literally no leverage. And I don't even feel bad for the guy, because he did this to himself. He tanked his own value when he leaked reports that he had, quote, lost faith in Steve Kerr after a loss to the Nuggets. And I'm not a huge fan of Steve Kerr's rotation as much as the next guy, but Kuminga's been given chances. His basketball IQ and decision making are just simply not good enough to have a prominent role on a contending team. At some point, he just has to realize that he's not that guy and settle into being a role player. If not, he's going to have a very short career in the NBA. The thing that bothers me is that he just has zero self-awareness. He really thinks that he could be the number one option on a team contending for a title, but I'm not even sure if he really wants to contend. I think he just wants to go out there and hoop and get to shoot whatever he wants every game, which is just not how winning teams play. I'd argue that the only reason he even gets minutes at all is because the Warriors have such a lack of talent. From a pure basketball perspective, the Warriors have one of the least talented rosters in the entire league. If you take away Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, the Warriors have like 12 different glue guys. So on basically any other team, they wouldn't need a guy like Kuminga because they already have a roster full of guys that can get buckets and fill in a role. They don't need a guy with an ego that's going to add an extra 15 points a game. The fact that Kuminga is probably the third most talented guy on the Warriors roster and still doesn't get minutes is extremely telling. After the trade deadline, Jimmy Butler played 30 regular season games with the Warriors, and they put up a record of 23-7. Jonathan Kuminga only played in 15 of those games. And out of those 7 losses, 5 of them came when Jonathan Kuminga was in the lineup. I'll let you decide if you think Kuminga helps the Warriors win after hearing all that. In fact, in the playoffs, Kuminga got his chance to be the main guy. After Steph Curry went down with an injury and Jimmy Butler was still recovering from his, the Warriors needed someone to step up and save them. And what did Steve Kerr do? He finally gave Jonathan Kuminga the ultimate green light. In the 4 games after Curry got hurt, Kuminga averaged 24 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 assist per game, leading the Warriors to 4 straight losses and a second-round exit, which was really tragic because the Warriors were scheduled to get Steph Curry back for Game 6, but they never got that opportunity because Kuminga is simply not that guy. And if Kuminga didn't fit the Warriors system before, he certainly doesn't now. With Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green on the floor for 30-plus minutes per game, there's just no room for Kuminga. You can't have 3 non-shooters out there. But I bet if you ask the man himself, he'd say that the Warriors would win 82 games straight if he got to shoot the ball 25 times a game. He'd average 50. People got frustrated with Jimmy Butler and James Harden forcing their way out of teams, but I think this is so much worse because it's coming from a role player just acting like an absolute diva. He's accomplished nothing in the NBA and has never shown true star potential, and he thinks he should be paid like one, which is just insane. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. How good is Jonathan Kuminga? Is he a future star? Is he a role player? Should he be out of the league? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.